Hey Phil, what are 3 ways that lawyers can get more clients and make more money without spending more money on their ads?
You know, it's a real easy answer. It's all about intake. Intake actually controls your cash flow. And there's a couple things that are involved with intake that are not rocket science, but if you do them well, you will get so many more clients from your marketing and ads you already spent. The first thing is,
what's up, everybody? Hope you guys are having a fantastic, Thursday? Fantastic Thursday. And you guys are having a great week so far. So welcome to the Law Firm Growth Acceleration Talk Show. And today we are going to be talking all about intake. How do we get more clients? How do we make more money? How do we improve our intake? And what's cool is that we actually created something called the Law Firm Growth Acceleration Model. And the Law Firm Growth Acceleration Model is based on years and years and years of working with, tens of thousands of law firms and understanding that lawyers really only want like 3 things, right? So basically most lawyers that I found, they want more profit. Give me some me's in the chat if you want more profit for your law firm. If that's why you're doing this, you're not doing this because this is a charity. You're doing this because you want to make a profit, right? What about freedom? You want more profit, but you also want freedom. You want to have free time to spend with your family, to go on epic world-class vacations, to do whatever you want. And then finally, if you're like most lawyers that I talk to, and I've talked to a lot, you also want to make sure that you're not going to get this freedom and this profit at the expense of your clients, right? Type clients in the chat if you want to make sure that your clients get amazing results as a result of working with your law firm, and you still want more profit and you still want more freedom, right? Well, the good news is that the Law Firm Growth Acceleration Model can actually help with all 3 of these things, because we figured that we found out that the secret to getting more profit, to getting more free time, and still delivering amazing results for your clients is something called the Law Firm Growth Acceleration Model, which we invented. And this is actually what it looks like right here. Lead generation, intake, self-managing team, and profits. Those are the 4 elements that you need if you're going to have a law firm that gives you more profit than you've ever had before, that puts more free time on your calendar than you've ever had before, that allows you to take epic world-class vacations, that allows you and your family to live a life that others only dream of, while still providing incredible results for your clients. If that is what you want for your law firm and your life, you want more freedom, more profit, amazing results, and you want to live a better life. Today, we're going to talk about intake, which is the second piece of the Law Firm Growth Acceleration Model. But what if there was a report that actually rated your law firm on a scale of 0 to 100 in terms of where you actually stack up in your law firm's lead generation, on your law firm's intake, your self-managing team? How good is your team, or how much does your team lack? And also your profit plan. Would you be interested if I could give you a custom report? Type yes in the chat if you'd be interested. If I could give you a custom report specific to your law firm, completely free, that shows you where you actually stack up in these 4 areas, type yes in the chat. I see Mark said yes. I see Diana said yes. Type yes in the chat if you would like to see where you actually stand up on a rating scale, and then actually figure out where you stand, right? Jay said yes. Alexis said yes. All right, fantastic. Well, I've got great news for you. We're giving you something completely free, and it's called a growth, profit, and freedom roadmap. And this is what it looks like. And basically, it's going to be custom for your law firm. So what we're going to do is we're going to drop a link in the chat here in a second. And all you have to do is answer some questions, and you're going to get a report that looks just like this report that you see on the screen. We're going to show you where you rank in terms of the Law Firm Growth Acceleration Model. We're going to give you a custom score, and at the end of it, you're going to see where you stand in your lead generation. How does your intake stack up? How is your team doing? And what is your profit plan? And then our team is actually going to sit down with you and go through the entire report, show you what do these numbers mean and how do you improve the numbers so that you can get more profit, so that you can get more freedom, and then you can have a law firm that delivers amazing results for your clients. So if you want to get this, which I highly recommend every single person on here gets this because it's amazing and it's completely free, then click the link that we just dropped in the chat and you can answer some multiple choice questions, and we will give you one of these. And then after the report, or after you answer the questions, just pick a time from the calendar to talk to our team, and they will sit down with you and go through your entire report in detail. And that is something that is very, very valuable. It's a $499 value, but you're going to get it completely free. Anyway, today what we're going to talk about is intake. Intake is the lifeblood of a law firm, because it doesn't matter how many leads you get. You could get 5 million leads, but if you can't reliably turn those leads into signed clients, into retained clients, then the leads ain't worth squat. So I wanted to bring in an expert at law firm intake, and that's going to be Phil Fairley. And Phil is actually our business partner. And the reason we partnered with him is because of the fact that he is an expert in intake. And Phil, I want you to go ahead and give your background real quick. What do you know about intake that everybody should listen to about here?
Well, thanks for the intro, Andy. I appreciate it. So I thought this lesson, when we started teaching this lesson 19 years ago, I thought people would catch on. Like legitimately, there's $4 billion competitors in our space that haven't gotten this figured out.
Maybe your 20 will be their year.
Maybe. Right? Because ultimately, there's, marketers are really good at spreading the word of lead generation, but it's the lead conversion. And what I've done over the last almost 20 years is work with law firms to turn their intake into a sales machine, because it's so overlooked. So I actually used to own a company that was a big competitor of yours. I've been in the industry for a long time. That's why I was amazed and really excited to partner with you guys, because of your success. Because our clients would use your service, we'd measure all their data and numbers, and there would be a lot of ROI. So the key to really intake and where my expertise comes from is just building businesses. Because too many other law firms, the legal industry just hasn't had this figured out. And it's very shocking to me. And that's because I think there's more cases and more phone calls than there is attorneys. And so they've gotten kind of laissez-faire. They absolutely didn't learn this in law school. But a lot of attorneys are like, I want more leads, I want more leads, I want more leads. But that's not always the answer. The answer is really more clients. So over the last 20 years of working with firms, that's exactly what we've been focused on. And I have to tell you, it's been transformational to them. So I've created things like Intake University. We've been teaching and coaching and consulting with Intake. And I have to tell you, it's the fastest way to go from a JOB to a CEO. It really, really is.
Yeah. It's so funny, because like we one of our big things at SMB team, our goal is to double the revenue of 10,000 law firms. And honestly, if I could just get in and mess with their intake, I think it'd be pretty easy, because that's usually the thing. Like I talk to so many lawyers, and I'm sure you do as well, who they come to me and they say, Andy, I need more leads. I need more leads. I need more leads. And then I say, well, hold on. Let's take a look here. Let's take a look at your intake first, right? How many leads did you get last month? I got 100 leads. Okay. How many were qualified? 80 were qualified. And that's assuming that they know the answer. A lot of times people don't even track these numbers. How many showed up for a consultation? Oh, I don't know. How many booked a consultation? Oh, I don't know. How many did you close? Oh, I don't know. A lot of times what happens is you can start, if you track these numbers, you can start seeing that there's going to be a big bottleneck somewhere. There's going to be somewhere where people drop off. Maybe you have a lot of qualified leads, but they're not actually booking a consultation, right? Or maybe they're booking a consultation, but they're not showing up for a consultation. Or maybe they're showing up for a consultation, but your sales process sucks. So what I want to do is I want to go through all of this today and kind of step through all the different phases of law firm intake, because there's lessons to be learned, and there's optimizations that can be made in every step of the of the law firm intake chain, you can call it. And if you optimize every single one of these, like 5% here, 10% here, 15% here, it actually it exponentially increases the amount of money that you make, right? And the first thing I want to talk about is before the phone call even happens. And Phil, I want to talk to you about this too, because this is really cool. So I did an event not too long ago, and a client told me, like literally yesterday, this is a true story. Like I'm not lying for the talk show. This is actually true. A client said to me, he took my advice and he made $30,000 this past weekend. He got 4 DUI cases, $7,500 a piece. Pretty sure that's $30,000. But actually, it might be more than $30,000. I'm not great at math. 32,000. I think it's 32,000. So I was like, what did you do? What was the advice that I gave you? He's like, oh, I changed my hours to 24/7 on Google, and I got 4 clients over the weekend who called me who would have otherwise not called me, right? So the point here is that just by having an intake system that answers your phones 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, he made $30,000 in one weekend just because of that, right? So talk to me about what's your view on law firms that just don't even have intake. They turn the phone off at
Yeah.
5 p.m. There's so many firms that do that. And I mean, I know I have my opinion, but tell me about what happens in your mind when somebody does that.
15 years ago, I was first introduced to that in this firm, and this was common practice back then. They turned their phones off for lunch because they all
Hmm.
went to lunch. Now,
Yeah.
you can't just stagger it because we pulled their phone numbers and they got like 20 calls. Because what are your ideal clients doing at lunchtime, and what are they doing after 5 p.m.? They're not working. They don't have the 9 to 5, the ones that can pay your fees or that need your issue. They
Mm.
actually have a job. So, and it really starts more fundamentally than that. Because I've seen too many times like, yeah, our paralegal or phones, everybody rings, so we never miss a call. And when you don't treat your intake as a sales department, you will never scale your business to a $4, $5, $6 million company and beyond. You just
Hmm.
won't. And when you start thinking of it as sales, you start doing things differently, even like how you answer the phone. Honestly, though, I was reading a stat about 48% of leads hire the first law firm that they talk to.
Yep.
And it may be even higher than that because I say there's two types of people in the world. There's regular people and then there's attorneys. That's how everybody thinks. They don't want to call you. They don't want to shop for you. They don't want to talk to you. Do you know how hard it is for them to pick up that phone? That mom that's about to be a single mom, that's a stay at home and the dad's been whatever and they're ending their family, or car accident that unfortunately my family had to go through last fall. These are difficult phone calls. In fact, there's a law firm. I love working with them. They're King Law Firm. We started working with them. They had 60 employees. Now they have over 65 attorneys.
Hmm.
Attorneys. And their issue, and they did criminal defense and family, really sensitive. Their SOP or their goal was to answer the phone on the first ring because they
Mm.
understood that some people dial it and then not even go all the way through. Right. So all of those things you would never understand, Andy, if you didn't look at your intake and look at it as sales.
Yeah, MIT did a study, and actually, I heard 50%. So 48%,
50? I was
50%. I heard
generous.
50%. Yeah. So, but yeah, 48 to 50. It doesn't matter. It's the point is the same. Answer the phone. Most people will hire the first vendor that they talk to, right? But I also heard a study by MIT found that you are 800% or 800 times or 800% more likely to sign up a client if you are responsive within the first 5 minutes, right? So first 5 minutes. Now, I think that, you
I
got
think
to
it's
get to it
60
right away.
seconds now. I know
Yeah.
that study. I used to talk about it on the stage and then I made fun of it and I said, no, it's 60 seconds. Why? Thanks, TikTok.
Yeah. Is it 60 seconds? Yeah, exactly. That's true, though. Yeah. So let's get into that. What are some of the best practices and what are some of the hacks, other than obviously
Yeah.
answering the phone, but what are some of the best practices and what are some of the the actionable things that people can put in place when they're answering the phone that they can literally go to the person who's going to answer their phone right now after this webinar is over and say, hey, do this and we will make more money?
Yep. Yeah, I love it because let's stop it to talk at the top of the funnel. You're taking an intake thingy or state. It's a sales funnel. It's a customer journey. I know those are really bizarre words in the legal space because sell is like 4 letters, right? Um, but that's really what it is. So I'm going to talk to you about the top of the funnel things right now. So appointment sets, that's the biggest thing. Now, if you're a contingency firm, you've got to have rock stars that are signing people up right there on the phone, right? A lot of law firms, they're like, well, I'm going to put the person in charge. I don't want to deal with them. They're the crotchety. They've been in my firm 20 years. We're just going to put them in front of the phone and they answer it. And they're a receptionist. That's the first thing that's wrong. So one of the things that when we started, I started with a marketing agency, and our clients would leave us because they're like, "Oh, your leads are crap." Well, you'd pull the covers back, and they called them once, 2 days later. You're like, "Well, they're already gone," especially the whales. So one of the things we started doing that everybody should do now. I don't care if you've got a software. I don't care if you've got a sticky note or Excel spreadsheet. It's fine because really intake is like, "Hey, I want to sell more." Well, that's like that big fat elephant, and there's only one way to eat it, right? One little bite at a time. So I love your approach. So we started tracking every call that came in, every lead. Now, you know the clients you get. Hopefully, you know the clients you get, right? You maybe even know the qualified leads, but you probably not accurately. But I want you to track the good, bad, and the ugly. And I want you to track them by a couple different things, by where they came from. And that can be an answer or a question. A lot of them will say the Google, right? Oh, was that on our Facebook? Was that our website? Or did you see us? You can ask the second level question and people will tell you or not. That's okay, right? But you have to their case type, what they're calling about, qualified or unqualified in their lead source. That's where you can just start doing that. And then you want to sketch out a couple stages. Now, a lot of law firms don't even know you have stages of your process or sales funnel, but I'm going to make it really easy. I'm going to give you 5. Usually there's 8 to 10 when you get more nuanced, but if you're not doing anything, you start out with 5 stages. And I'll rattle them off. There's leads, real sophisticated here, Andy. We're getting real crazy, right? Make sure you pay attention.
Wait, how do you spell that? Is that leads?
Appointment set. That's the next thing that you've got to track. Appointment show. Like we're getting close to rocket science here. Hired. Hired later. Start with those 5. So you track every lead, Jane Doe that comes in calling for a car wreck or probate case, and they came from the Google or actually Facebook or wherever it may be. And then you put their name on a spreadsheet and you have a couple of the columns. And then when they go, then you track them through. Did they actually set an appointment? Right? Did they actually show? Did they hire or hire later? And just see if they did that. So have your Excel spreadsheet for every lead. And I tell you Excel spreadsheet because unfortunately, even your most basic CRMs and intake systems in our space make that really hard, just those 5 basics to track.
Yeah.
So that's why I created Attorney Fuel. Not going there right now. Leads, appointment sets, appointment show, hired and hired later. If you start tracking, you will see what Andy just mentioned, where things are dropping off. You don't even have to be a business consultant. You don't even have to talk to me. You don't have to talk to an expert. You don't have to read another book on intake that you won't take action on. Track these 5 stages. And then look at them at the end of every week. And you're just going to start seeing some things. You're like, oh, okay. Then the question you should be asking is, what's a good standard, right? And what should my numbers be, right? And every case type and geography, it alters a little bit. And I'd love to go over those with clients to give them a benchmark of what they should be. But if you track those 5 stages, that's your best hack. That's to start with.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, that's the big thing. You can't measure what you don't track, right? And actually, one of my favorite quotes is something that somebody said to me one time. They said, Andy, without data, you're just an idiot with an opinion. So if you don't know what is your intake, yeah, how many leads did we get last month? How many were actually qualified? How many booked consultations versus how many didn't book consultations? How many showed up to those consultations? Of the ones that showed up, how many hired? Like, if you don't have that information, you're just guessing, and it's just an opinion, right? So let's talk about a few things. And the cool thing is that Attorney Fuel actually fixes all these problems. It actually allows you to monitor all of these things. So in a minute, I'm going to let Phil drop a link here so you guys can sign up and get a demo of Attorney Fuel, and then you can see if it even makes sense for you, right? But let's talk about a few things first. Let's talk about how can we optimize. Let's talk about some optimizations, right? So I want to give you some of my, I want to hear some of your favorite tips, and then I'm going to give you some of my favorite tips about, let's go through every step of the funnel, right? So the first thing is lead calls. How do we get them to even book an appointment once we find that they're qualified? So I want to tell you my favorite tip, and then I want to hear yours, right? So one of the things that I love doing, and this has a huge impact for our clients that do this, is a concept called pre-framing. Right? Now, pre-framing, we've all been to conferences before, and we've seen where there's an MC at the conference, right? And the MC will get up on stage and they'll say, our next speaker is somebody who's been in the intake business for law firms for the last 19 years. He is responsible for millions and millions and millions of dollars in increased revenue for law firms. He's the CEO of Attorney Fuel. And we're going to bring him to the stage right now. This is Phil Fairley, right? Now, why does the MC do that? The MC does that because he's doing something called pre-framing. What he's doing is he's making it so that everybody in the audience automatically respects Phil and sees him as an authority figure, right? Now, compare that to if the guy just got up and said, okay, ladies and gentlemen, Phil Fairley, right? Totally different. Well, we can use this same principle in the law firm. So let me give you two different scenarios. So let's say it's a family law firm, and we'll go with the divorce example again, right? So let's say somebody calls the law firm and the person answers the phone. So ring, ring, law firm. It's usually how they answer the phone, right? Say, hi, I was just served divorce papers, and I'm not really sure what to do. I think I need a lawyer. So typically what happens is the person who answers the phone is going to say, okay, what's your name? What's your phone number? What's your email address? Okay, let me get your information. Let's book a consultation.
Order taker.
Yeah, order taker, exactly. And that's fine, right? But there's like two lines that you could add in there that will exponentially increase the perception of the person on the phone, make it much more likely that they're going to want to book a consultation, and also make it more likely they're going to show up to the consultation. So let's run this scenario with pre-framing. So you would say, ring, ring, law firm. Hi, I was just served divorce papers and I don't know exactly what to do. I think I need an attorney. Okay, well, listen, I'm really sorry to hear that, but you made a fantastic choice calling this law firm. In fact, Attorney Smith is actually one of the best family law attorneys in this entire state. So you're going to be in good hands. Go ahead, give me your information. Let's get you taken care of. That little pre-framing, just assuring, one, they made the right decision. Two, basically saying that this attorney is one of the best attorneys in the state. Like, that is such a weight off of their shoulder. Because like you said earlier, Phil, nobody calls an attorney, or very rarely do people call an attorney with good news. Is usually something terrible has happened. They've been injured. They've been arrested. Somebody's been killed. They got served divorce papers. They're going bankrupt. Like, there's not good news usually, right? And they don't normally know the law, right? I mean, there's people out there that legitimately think that if they're served with a lawsuit, a civil suit, that they could go to prison for that, right? They just don't know, right? So you have to remember, you don't know, or you deal with, attorneys deal with this stuff all the time. The people on the other side of that phone, this might be their first time they've ever talked to a lawyer, and their first experience with the legal system, and they are terrified. So if you can take that weight off of their shoulders, just with that little pre-framing, it's like two lines, that will completely change your outcome. So that's my favorite tip, pre anything, really, as soon as you answer the phone. What would you say is yours?
You know what? You make it sound so much more sophisticated. I'm like, brag on the freaking attorneys. Like, I have seen Laura pull a case from the ashes of heaps and like the phoenix rise, like work weekends if my own mother is in this situation. And that you're getting kind of paid to say that, but you have third-party validation.
But so is the MC, and nobody knows that, or nobody cares.
You're like showing all our magic tricks now.
Yeah.
Be canceled.
I like that line. I like that if my mother was going through a divorce, this is who I would call. That's actually a better line. I like that.
It's like, I have seen this. So yes, here's the thing. Here's some big tips on this. One, don't be grouchy and have high energy. And if you have grouchy, high energy and they're a good person, put a little mirror at the bottom of their monitor. You ever hear somebody that's on the phone that's smiling versus not smiling? You can tell. You can, now you're artificially making
mirror on the monitor. That is smart. I've never thought about that. That's really smart.
Right? Just do that. The other thing, empathy. You talked about it in a second. Oh my gosh, I can't, even if you got that grouchy person, they're now fake smiling on the mirror. I can't believe you went through that. Oh my gosh. Because so many attorneys are order takers. I have a story that I wasn't me, it was somebody from my previous company. They were on site. Grandma was watching the two kids before school because mom was working. Garbage truck, 10-year-old boy, and rambunctious. Grandma sent him out into the cul-de-sac, got hit by the garbage man.
Oh, geez.
Lost his arm. Crazy. She, like, they empathized. I can't believe, and the lady broke down and hired them right there. Because she's like, you're like the fifth law firm I called and they just wanted to meet with me.
Yeah.
Like, nobody cared. The other thing is, you've got to give them hope. And not promises, only hope. Keep your intake calls 10 to 15, 8 to 10 minutes max. You are selling the firm and you're selling the appointment. Everybody, who in here, put in chat, who loves calling Cox Cable, Comcast, AT&T, and Verizon? I'm going to wait.
Or type no if you hate calling them.
Well, Brian, let's do it the other way so I don't have to wait. Why? Not just on hold, but how many times you got to tell your story.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to tell their story, so you empathize on intake. Oh my gosh. And then unique competitive advantages. You talked about framing it, but what's an award you've won? super lawyers, best attorneys, something your competitors can't say in your neighborhood. I'm certified mediator because I'm in tech, I'm in California, and we can do what, and you have that list, and this is your list that you proactively frame or proactively insert that in every time that you can, right?
Mhm.
You sell the appointment, you get them in that same day, hot transfer next day. And that those are really kind of keys, and keep it short. You've got to give your team tools to pull the storyteller back on track.
Yeah.
They're not difficult, right? But you have to manage this phone call. You can't just go into the phone call without a 3-step process, or I'm going to chunk it here, here, and here. If you let them run, that's why you have 30-minute intake calls, and you're not have time to follow up to the people who didn't set the appointment or the consult.
Yeah, yeah, and that's a great transition. So let's talk about now we got them on the phone. We've qualified them. They now know how awesome the firm is. What is the best way to actually get the consultation booked so that they show up for the consultation? I want to hear your tips,
Yeah.
and then I'm going to give a couple that I have.
Oh, I wanted you to show me first again. Yours was pretty good. Okay.
Oh, all right. You want me to go
I'll
first?
go first.
All
No,
right, you
no,
go
I
first
got
this time, and I'll go
No,
next.
okay. Fair.
All right.
Thank you.
I'll go
Yeah.
first next time.
What changed my life a long time ago is when I read a book and saw a TED Talk. It Starts With Why by Simon Sinek. Everything I do and every my consulting, my approach to sales and intake, everything plays along. He creates this golden circle. He explains it way better than I do. This is the way that people are the motivation, but I take it on the way that people sell. So attorneys sell in 3 different ways. And this includes intake and at the consultation, because it's the same, just a little different goal, same type of conversation, different goals, shorter, same idea. They sell the what, like, we'll get you a divorce. When would you like the appointment so we can see, and all of that, right? They sell the what. Then a lot of attorneys get crazy. They're like, okay, everybody's doing that. Then they start to sell the why. I mean, the how. This is how we're going to do it. This is how we're going to go after the big bad insurance company. Your narcissistic spouse? Yeah, this is what we're going to do. And we're going to drag it out. Oh, your DUI? We're going to delay. We're going to get you therapy. You're going to go to rehab. By the time the prosecutor forgot about it, you don't have to, it's not a time to show how smart you are. You brag about your firm and you talk about the attorney and what your firm does, but they already know you're smart. You're an attorney. So you don't need to talk about, here's our strategy. After they signed up, that's what you can do. The key is the third, the middle of the golden circle. They sell the why. So this is how you get somebody to set an appointment. In fact, I was talking to a law firm the other day, one of your clients, and they do lemon laws. And so it's free for them, and they're in California, and they've had a hard time getting people to continue because they have to do a lot of paperwork and file and folder and things like this. And it's helping them get out of a bad loan, getting them compensation, but they're so busy, they're blue collar, they're working 3 jobs. They're like, so I said, okay, so did you ask about their why? Like, why are you here? Yeah, your car sucks and you don't have any. So you able to take your kids to school on that unreliable car? What about your job? What's that doing for your vacation, your family trips, or your life? What's that doing for your bank account? Like, get to their heart, Andy, their why. Like, why are you want to file this divorce now? Not what time can we meet with you? Oh my gosh, I can't believe that's happening. But what about your children? Oh, your future? Like, every case type has their touch points where you're finding and uncovering their real motivation, their heart, their why. Then when you talk to them, that's what you specialize in, because that's really why you went into law. And it's not trickery. It's not psychological BS. It's getting to their motivation, because like, you've never had a lead that came to you and didn't tell you the whole truth or gave you a bunch of red herrings, or even you're the attorney, right? So when you get to their why and uncover it with those type of questions, like why now, why today, what's this doing for your life, your future, your family, whatever it may be, you uncover and you keep digging until you find it. And then you speak to that. So then when you ask for the sale, whether that's a consult paid or free, you ask for the sale at the consult, you're like, man, you know that we're the best. Here's our unique. Here's why we're unique. And I feel so bad that I can't believe you're going through this. Our whole team specializes in helping families protect their children's future, their biggest fears, their biggest why. Because that's what you do anyway. You're just not telling them that. So when your intake understands how to uncover their why and a couple open-ended questions, and then your attorneys or non-attorneys, hopefully, that are taking the consultations, the salespeople you should all be having, or at least thinking about it, and you get to their why, it changed. Price isn't an issue. Timing isn't an issue. You're not chasing or pushing a rope, as I would say, and feeling desperate, call them again, get on. Like, all of that seems to kind of melt away. And guess what's not happening? Not one of your competitors is doing that. You'd be way different. Or let's take an order, please. Yeah, what time? How much? Ooh, that's a lot. Here, let me get back to you. Take an order, please. Hey, how much? What time? Oh, that's $50 less. Well, I better keep going down and I'm going to price shop them because you all sound the same. Nobody's talking about their why.
Yeah, no, that's so I actually I speak about that a lot. I call it the airplane test, right? Nobody. So you think about this, right? When somebody goes on vacation,
I love the way you put this.
yeah, what you're really interested in is you're interested in the resort. You're interested in, hanging out on the beach and the all-inclusive food and drinks and, relaxing and reading a book and, all that type of stuff. But typically, to get to a resort, you have to take an airplane ride. And nobody wants the airplane ride. The airplane ride is arguably the worst part of the entire vacation, right? But the airplane is the vehicle that takes them to the resort. The airplane ride is the vehicle that takes them to their dream destination. So I have to remind lawyers all the time that nobody wants your services. I hate to break it to you. Nobody wants your services. What they want is the result of your services, right? Nobody dreams as a little kid or a little girl, like, oh, I can't wait to grow up one day and get divorced. I can't wait. Like that's not what they want. They don't want that. What they want is they want a new life. They want to start a new life. They want to escape an abusive relationship. They want to, start over with their soulmate. They want financial security. Whatever it is, that's the result of your legal services. And if there was a way for them to get the result without hiring a lawyer, believe me, they would do it. But fortunately for you guys, there's not a way. Like, they have to hire your services. But you do need to make no mistake about it. Your services are the vehicle. Look at, like, a great example of this. Look at any ad for, like, Delta Airlines or Southwest Airlines or anything. They're not talking about their
TSA pre-check line.
They're not talking about their planes. They're not like, come fly our 747 Maxes, right? No, they're showing, if you go to their websites, what is it? It's pictures of beaches and, pictures of people in Paris all happy and everything, right? So that's the number one thing, is you have to remember that there's only three things that you should really ever talk about, right? One is, what is it that they actually want? And that thing is not your services. They want the results of your services. The second thing is, how do they get it? And then the third, and this is really, really important, if you can nail this, then you will sell so many more people. And when I say sell, I mean, you'll get more people to show up to your consultations. You'll get more people to book the consultation, then show up to it, then hire your law firm. The third thing is, what will their life be like after they get the thing that they want? And if you can show them very clearly and very articulately how your services, your law firm, will lead them to that destination, that resort that they want, and what their life's going to be like once they get there, then you're great. You're great.
Because that's what you specialize in.
Exactly.
For the rest of the conversation.
Exactly. And that's all you focus on. That's the whole thing you need to focus on, right? So this starts, by the way, not when they're sitting across the table from you during the consultation. This starts when they're on the phone and you're telling them, okay, the next thing you need to do is you need to come in and you need to book a pre-jail intervention session or something. And by the way, I like reframing it. I don't like calling it a consultation because everyone else sells a consultation, right? And when I say sell, even if it's free, you still have to sell it.
Oh,
right? You still have to be convincing, right?
Harder sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. So I like the pre-jail intervention session. I like the family legacy planning session. I like renaming
bankruptcy.
Yeah, fresh start. Yeah, exactly. And the reason that this makes sense, so when you're naming it, first of all, ChatGPT is great for this. But what I really like is I like naming the consultation that we're not calling the consultation anymore. I like naming it after the outcome that they're looking for. Right. So they don't want to go to jail. We're going to call it a jail avoidance session. They want to get rid of their debt. We're going to call this a debt freedom conference, whatever you're going to call it. You go to ChatGPT and come up with it. Right. And then the cool thing is that you can use something called the stack. And the stack is something that I guarantee your competitors are not doing. Right. So if you let's say you're a criminal defense attorney, right? Somebody comes in for a consultation. Typically what's going to happen is you're going to go through their, or actually here's how I would do this, right? I would say, listen, here's what you need to do. You need to come in for, and by the way, you don't want to ask them if they want to book a consultation. You tell them they want to. People are silently begging to be led. So you say, listen, okay, the next step is you really need to get in here and you need to talk to an attorney. And what they're going to do during this, you need to come in for a pre-jail intervention session because we're going to be able to help you out. But what we're going to do specifically is, first of all, bring your police record, bring your arrest report, because you're going to sit down and they're going to review all of your documentation. They're going to look at the potential charges that you're facing, the potential fines that you're facing, the potential jail time, and they're going to explain every single thing that you're looking at and also what the potential consequences are going to be. And then they're going to look and they're going to say, okay, what are like the weaknesses that we might be able to find in this defense here? And what are some of the ways that we might be able to attack these charges and get these charges thrown out? And then they're going to answer every single question that you have so that you are 100% clear and you're going to know exactly what your next steps are. Now, here's the funny part. That's probably what you would do anyway during a consultation. But what we're doing is we're using the late night infomercial strategy and the concept that an offer broken down into its individual parts is far more valuable than the single offer. You watch the late night infomercial and they say, what are you going to get? You're going to get this knife. And when you buy the Jinsu knife, you're going to get the steak knife set. You're going to get the butcher block. You're going to get the sharpener. You're going to get the paring knife. You're going to get the cleaver. It's all they're doing is selling you a knife set, but they're breaking it down to the sum of its individual parts. The other thing is that you're articulating the value, because they don't know what happens on a consultation. They don't know that all your competitors do the same thing because they're not telling them that. What you're doing is you're making it seem really, really, really valuable. And that's the sales part that I'm talking about. Even though it's free, you still have to sell it. You still have to make them see the value, right? Because
here's another, I want to build on this because there's something else that I'm a big fan of doing. Two things I just started doing is putting a calendar link on your website that goes and books an appointment with your sales team. And then the automated message goes out, here's what to expect. Because now they've got an appointment. The other thing is your intake should tell them this, but at the consult set, if you don't have automation in your intake, you will always lose leads. But your automation should be, here's the appointment time, here's the text message, here's what to expect, and then here's a video profile of the attorney or non-attorney person you're meeting with. And it's not in a law library, it's in their backyard with a dog. Here's why I do this. Here's what to expect. I'm so excited to meet with you because this is why I specialize in. Bring your hardest questions. And if you automate that, you don't even have to be good. You just set it up once and it always happens. But genius. I love the fact that you're saying, show them what to expect, lay that out in big terms. That way you put them at peace. That way they're not calling the 4, 5, and 6 on their list. That way they've got an appointment and they pause all their looking and shopping. And then it's just your job to get them out of shopping mode into buying mode.
Yeah, it shows the value. It shows why it's actually valuable for them to come in. Because at the end of the day, the reason they don't show up to a consultation is that they don't think it's going to be valuable enough for them. That's really
or it's booked up 4 days in advance.
Yeah, that's another thing. Yeah. It should be as soon as humanly possible. Like it should be like, there's a lot of attorneys that will do a Zoom consultation immediately. That's your absolute best bet, right? So, but as soon, if they book here, the further we get away, the colder they get. And the more
but I'm busy, Andy. I'm busy in court and I'm trial. Well, you book the time or you get out of doing it. And if you can't make the time, plan for the next 90 days how to make that time.
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm going to say the best thing, that instant Zoom, I'm going to one-up you. We have been pushing, just like contingency firms. You get the sale on that first call. It's happening with criminal defense, estate planning, family law. There's not one practice area and that way they don't get a chance to shop anymore.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, putting those the sales, I've got firms that used to have the non-attorney salesperson that because the attorney, he got out of court, he got an associate. And then he took all the consults. And then they're like, she was like, I don't want to take any more consults. They hire a salesperson. And now they're putting that salesperson in front of the intake answering the phone. They're closing at a higher rate than they ever did before.
All right. So the next thing that I wanted to talk about is how to actually get them to show up to the consultation. But I want to take a little bit of a detour real quick. How do you get them to I know how it works for personal injury. How do family law, criminal defense attorneys, estate planning, how do they get a one-call close where the person calls inquiring about a law firm and you get them to sign up on the call? How does that work?
Yep. Couple of quick things. One, you've got to have the tech. Sign like Volkswagen. I like take it their statement all the time, even though they were an ethical company. Sign and drive. You've got to be able to sign and drive right then and there. Pay and sign while they're on the phone, while they're on the meeting. And if your software and your tech stack can't do that, set aside. You got another rock. 60 days, 30 days, solve it. You will sign up more and you'll stop chasing. Sign and drive. That's the first thing. The next thing is they're not an 8-minute call. They're more like a 15 to 25-minute call. That person can't be an order taker. They've got to be a rock star salesperson, i.e. they've got a couple other things happened in your firm as well. One, whether you're fee-based or hourly or flat fee. I'm a big flat fee fan with boxes, because the quicker you do the work, the more value you get. And if you're more experienced attorney and you're trading, you're trading time for money, the quicker you do it, the less profit you make. Start using AI and systems and automations, flat rate everything with a box. So it's a product they can look at. Oh, instead of, hey, drop a retainer and I'll tell you when we need another one. And there's another one, and then there's another one, and then, right? Oh, I don't even know and criminal defense attorneys do this all the time. Even we include 2 court dates, not trial, this or whatever that box may be.
Yeah.
So that makes it a lot easier to do the sale. The other thing is they've got to uncover the why. They've got to then talk about the firm and not just the attorney. And this is exactly what we do. They have to walk them through the process and then ask for the sale. It's not any more difficult really than selling a paid appointment, except you have to be more sophisticated. You can't have a junior person on here. And there's a couple other things you have to do. If you're the attorney and you're scared about this, you start it by shadowing them and recording their calls and working with them, right? And making sure they can do a consultation and close at the consult before you put them on the phone. And then you're like, well, my phone blows up with all my clients. That's real easy. I'm a big fan of, you should have a separate number for your clients and go to a paralegal department or a phone tree. And it's like, hey, your client now, you get a VIP number. You can go talk to our sales every time, but put this in your phone. They'll cut half your phone calls away.
Frame it as a VIP number. I love that.
Yes. Oh, pre-frame, right?
Yeah.
That's why, Andy.
That's
like,
good.
When we first met, I was like, even when you were a competitor, you guys were speaking my language. In fact, I was like, you guys are stealing my stuff. No, you're just really smart, right? And these aren't sophisticated strategies, but they're strategies. And then when you look at intake of sales, you start understanding that these are strategy here. Improve at 1%, 4%, 5%, 2%, right? And they don't cost you anything, but you're looking at, because you're tracking those numbers. Hey, our appointment set rate. But anyway, we were to show. Sorry, I got a little off track. Show is easy. Be a dentist.
Yeah.
That's all you have to do. And then share a profile video. So your software and your system should be able to say, they're meeting with Jane Doe on this day, and then Jane Doe's nurturing messages automatically.
So when the lead gets booked, it just automatically, you have a system that just automatically fires this stuff off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that's not rocket science.
Now let me ask you this: Is there a software out there that maybe you created that actually does this? That does a lot of the stuff that we're talking about. Do you want to? I think the answer is yes. If so, why don't you take like 3 minutes, because we only have 15 minutes left. So take like 3 minutes, tell everybody about it, and then we're going to get into how to actually sign up more clients when they come in, right? Because I want to end this thing with like some fireworks.
So yes, I did create this. I've been doing this. I've used to be called something different, but Attorney Fuel. And what we do, it's a done for you intake system. We create all the automations, the follow-up, the nurturing, connect it to all your tech stack, because unfortunately, Andy, there's nothing on the market that does this unless you went and go bought Salesforce and spent 25 to 30,000 to set it up. And then God forbid, 6 months later, your business changes or your new lead source.
Real quick. I know somebody that works at Zillow. Zillow has 65 developers on staff just to manage their Salesforce CRM. It's insane. Go ahead.
I used to have an IT company, and I didn't have that quite many consultants, but they were running around doing Salesforce, right? So what this is built for is for law firms that want to turn their intake into a sales machine and have it done for them. Then the other key is, like I said, we integrate it with all your tech stack, captures all your leads. Your intake sales team manages your leads here. When it's retained, it goes to your practice management system to start doing your legal work. But the real big differentiator is when we started tracking the numbers. So what we do is we provide all these dashboards and data, but everybody's overloaded with data. Like, even if you look at it, you're like, oh, that's great. Let's make it better next month. Like, what do I do? Right. So every month we offer data consultants to all of our clients. So you meet with them every month and they bring up the dashboards and they analyze the numbers beforehand and they tell you what's working and give you strategies and set, like, if you can't set your appointments, we'll tell you, put that mirror in front of your smile. Have you listened to their call? How do they overcome objections? Do they know how to empathize? Like, all of these things, but we consult based upon your numbers. So we look at these areas, and for the biggest opportunities, your appointment set rate's down, your show rate's bad, this practice area is not financially viable anymore, or it's not profitable, or whatever it may be. That's the key. We force you to run your firm, your marketing, and your lead generation and your sales, everything on this side of it. We force you to run it with numbers.
Awesome. How can they see a demo of this?
Yeah, Attorney Fuel /demo. So I just popped it in the chat there, attorneyfuel.com/demo. And it's not a sales. I'm not going to give you a tour. We're not going to show you, hey, these are our 47.5. We're going to talk to you about your intake and what your challenges are. What sucks right now? What are you frustrated with? Those are the things you want to fix first, because that means cash.
Yep.
More instant.
Mm-hmm.
So
awesome.
Yeah, check it out. I'd love to jam with you and just kind of strategize about where you're at and where you should go.
Yeah. And Attorney Fuel, we're getting great feedback from Attorney Fuel, and we introduced it in, I think, March
26th, my friend.
I think 25% of SMB team clients, or maybe not that high, but a decent percentage of SMB team clients are on it already, which is awesome, and it's going great. So all right, so let's transition back into this. We got about 12 minutes left, and I want to send some firepower here. So where do we leave off? We talked about how to
close at the
consultation. Yeah, now they show up. All right, so now they're sitting in your office they're at the conference table, they're sitting across from you. What are your best tips to get somebody to sign on the dotted line and become your client? And then you go first, and I'm going to go next.
Oh man, again, I have to go back to what you talked, the vacation. So you've got to strategically set it. So the first 10 minutes, you're going to let them tell their story, and you have active listening. If you don't know what that is, I can't help today. And then active listening, empathy, and then you're giving them hope without promises. And then instead of shifting the gear and saying, this is our strategy, you've already uncovered what their issues are. You're really clear with it. You understand what their goals or their why is. Then the next part of the whole conversation is saying, this is exactly what we specialize. This is what we've done in the past. You can talk about generalities, not outcomes, but you talk about, this is what we've done. This is our specialty. These are our credentials. We have a team approach, and you talk a little bit about why you're unique. And then you ask for the sale. Most attorneys are like, hey, I'll send you we have ones that want us to build like automation. Send them the fee agreement the next day. I'm like, what? No. Like, you'll ask for the sale right there, because hopefully you've got a package and it's easy for them to consume because you've talked about the price. And then a couple good ways to do this is, one attorney I like a lot, he's like, hey, if you feel comfortable in us representing you, because you can't just go there, Andy, if you haven't talked about the price, you haven't understood their why and their goals and said, this is what we specialize in, because then it's a slimy ask. A lot of times, most law firms, when they're saying, hey, oh my gosh, this is going to protect your XYZ, man, I got your heart. And then they're like, when can we start? They're asking you because you're talking to them, not when's your next calendar and when's your next court date, or show me this document. Like, blah, blah. But if you think they're hesitant, because when you're talking to somebody, they're like, what's the white elephant in the room? Is it money, right? Or is it that they just didn't connect with them? Whatever that is, you actually throw that out right towards when you're getting ready to ask. Like, hey, is there anything, this is tried and true, is there anything, do you have any other questions or further concerns before we start moving forward? And so our whole team can represent you and we can start now. Is there anything else? And if you think they're poor, if you think they can't afford it, or it's going to be a struggle for them or whatever, point it out. Be like, hey, I know that money may be an issue, but is it? And you point those things out. And a lot of times people will push back with 2 or 3 different pushbacks, objections. So what you need to do as a firm, this is why you have to have weekly, depending on your volume, or monthly sales meetings. one with the people that take consults and one with your intake staff. So you have to notate all of these objections they hear, why they didn't move to the next stage. And that started your training manual SOP. So when you meet with your intake staff, even if there's one, you meet with your attorneys that take consults, even if there's one, you're listing all the objections. And here's how we answer it in our firm. You have to be strategic about this. So if they say it's money, a good thing is it price versus cost? Like, hey, I know there's a price, but your cost is we were going to protect your daughter or your future or your why, because you bring it right back there because they'll get sidetracked. Well, what about she's got a really big lawyer, and what about this strategy? And hey, we're going to protect Jamie. Like, that's what we do. Don't worry about that. We'll take that all off you. And so when you ask them, is there anything holding you back for us moving forward so we can start fixing and solving your why or getting you to the goal right now, whatever they say, then you explain it and you address it. And then you ask the question again, hey, is there anything else? Right? Before we move forward, because timing, they're building their case. So you put in urgency, just like you would do in some of your nurturing, right? So the point is, when you understand their why, you're able to pivot with any objection they have. And sometimes you'll have a unique one. You're like, okay, yeah, I get it. I don't even know what you're saying. Then you write it down and you're like, okay, how do we answer this next time? Right? And that's your training manual. That's your monthly or weekly sales meetings, right? But when you understand their why, and then you say, are you comfortable in us representing you? We got a team approach. We can start now. Sign. Here's the next step. You sign here, pay here, and we're going to start now. That's all they all want, to get to your goal, not to go after narcissistic spouse or whatever. Right? Get your goal.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love the cost versus value, right? It's huge because and this actually, we actually ran into this not long ago with a law firm that they do professional license defense for nurses, right? So what happens is a nurse is having her license challenged or her license challenged by the nursing board, and they come into the client's office, and the client says, okay, well, for us to protect your license, it's going to be $4,000. And their close rate wasn't that great, right? It was like, I don't know, 25%, right? So he came to me and he was like, how can I get more people to sign up? I was like, well, the problem is that you're not articulating the value. You're just telling them the cost, right? But what you actually have to do is you have to show them the value of what you're doing. So what we figured, I asked him a couple questions. I was like, how old is the typical nurse that comes to your law firm? And the answer is about roughly 45 years old. Now, I know that most people retire at age 65. So if they lose their nursing license, we did some research, they're going to lose about $20,000 a year of income for every year that they don't have a nursing license, because they're going to have to take a lower paying job. They're not going to have a professional license, all that type of stuff. $20,000 times an average of 20 years is $400,000. So we're going to use a little bit of price anchoring here. And we say, listen, if you lose your nursing license, here's what's likely going to happen, X, Y, Z. And that typically costs, see, you're 45. Okay. So times 20 years times 25, that's going to be about $400,000. Now, that's the bad news. The good news is that we will fight tooth and nail to do everything that in our power to prevent that. And our fee's only $4,000.
Yeah. And we know the value. You know what you can do with that? Just that firm? Have them put a medical chart on there and just have that $20,000 like
exactly. Yeah, you can, if you can show a visual representation of that, because now what you've done is now it's stupid for it's insane for them not to pay $400,000 or
$4,000
$400,000. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, take my money, right?
Right.
So that's a huge one, right? And what's funny is that another thing that I really one of my mentors taught me, and this is something that if lawyers can get good at this, your sales rate will just skyrocket, right? There's a concept that whoever can best articulate the problem is automatically thought to have the best solution. So let me give you an example. And this is an example I always give to lawyers, right? So all lawyers typically struggle with hiring. In fact, that's one way to explain that problem. Or tell me if this is your story. You decide that it's time to hire somebody. So you throw an ad up on the usual places, LinkedIn, Indeed, ZipRecruiter, maybe Monster.com. I don't even know if that's a thing anymore, right? And what happens? You get mediocre candidate after mediocre candidate after mediocre candidate after mediocre candidate. And you're like, oh God, these candidates suck, but I need to hire somebody. So you go through, you interview the best of the mediocre, and you hire the best of the best of the mediocre. And then shockingly, against all odds, they deliver mediocre results. And you're left feeling frustrated and mad because of the fact that you could have done it better, easier, cheaper, faster if you would have just done it yourself and not hired anybody. Tell me if that's your story. Give me a me in the chat if that's your story. Now, I said the same thing, but one was way more articulate. And if I go through that entire process and then I tell you, and to solve that problem, we created the perfect hiring solution for lawyers called lawyer hire fire. I don't know what it's called. That would be a much better way, because whoever can best articulate the problem and explain in excruciating detail what your clients are going through, they're going to feel, oh, they understand me. They get it. So because they get it, because they understand me, this law firm must have the best solution. They must know how to solve this problem, right? So if you think about that, if you always make sure that you just go into more detail and you really, really articulate, like twist the knife, what are they experiencing? That is one way, that's a surefire way to make sure that they hire you at a much higher frequency. So Phil, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. Guys, one more time, if you guys want to see where you stack up on the law firm growth acceleration model, and that's going to show you where you stand in terms of getting more profit, more freedom, and better results for your clients, then team, if you could drop that link one more time, what we're going to do, we're going to give you an actual full report. It's custom for your law firm. It's not generic. It's specific to your report, it's specific to your law firm based on the answers to the questions that you're going to answer in the multiple choice thing that you're going to take when you click the link. All you have to do is fill that out, and we will give you a custom report for your law firm showing you exactly how close you are to getting more profit, how close you are to getting more freedom, and how close you are to having that team that's going to deliver amazing results for your clients. And we're also going to show you what's holding you back from getting across the line to where those things happen immediately. And if you want to automate your intake, then be sure to check out Attorney Fuel. Phil, if you want to drop that link one more time.
Yep.
And, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We actually have 2 minutes left. Does anyone have like one or two questions that they want to ask? Anybody have any
I saw a good one in there. I responded, never. What if they ask for a discount?
Go ahead and answer it for everybody. What was the question? What was the answer?
What if they ask for a discount? I said, never get a discount without asking for something back. Hey, we're going to put a junior attorney on it. Our paralegal is going to do the research. You don't get our main attorney. And in my business, if you deal with me and you really twist my arm, I'm like, okay, I want 3. I want 3 referrals of people that I can speak with. Now, they may be part of a singles mom club in the suburb, but it may be a little more difficult. But
that's good. I like that.
Never give them something without taking something back. Mostly on the perceived value. Yeah,
I agree with that. And my answer to that when we're going to wrap up, I like saying never lower your prices, always increase your value. So if people are saying that, oh, it's too much money, what they're really saying is, I don't think that what you're offering me is worth the money that you're asking for. So keep adding value until they see that value, until they see that it's worth it. That's my take.
My personality, Andy, is if they said that to me and that was running through my head, I'd be like, okay, you're asking for a discount because you don't see the value I'm offering you. Is that right?
It's 2 ways.
I'll answer, be like, okay, let me walk you through the value that I can give you.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe articulate the value better also. It could be that you're giving value, you're just not clearly explaining it. So, but guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. We were 2 o'clock. I want to be respectful of everybody's time. Phil, thank you so much. This was packed. I'm sure we could go for another 3 hours here on intake.
Let's do it again, man.
All right, sounds great. We'll talk to everybody soon. Thanks a lot.